For 3 years, the American public was told that the massive industrial mega site in Huntsville, Alabama, was a guaranteed victory. We were told that a wall of tariffs would force the entire world to build in America or not build at all. But in a single moment, that narrative collapsed. The fax machines in Alabama started screaming, and the phone lines in Ottawa started ringing because Japan just pulled the trigger. Toyota isn't just pausing its $9 billion expansion in the American South. They're killing it entirely. They aren't moving the work to Mexico or taking it back to Japan. They are moving it north to Canada. Mark Carney didn't need to shout or make threats. He simply opened the door, handing the U.S. administration its most humiliating economic defeat to date. This boardroom decision has just cost America 4,000 direct jobs, and it signals the end of an era of American dominance. At 8:00 a.m. Tokyo time, Toyota issued a filing to the Nikkei Stock Exchange that was short, brutal, and final. Project 50, the battery and EV plant scheduled to break ground in Alabama next month, is officially terminated. That is $9 billion of investment gone, and an estimated 22,000 support jobs in trucking and steel wiped off the map. The shock isn't just the cancellation, it's where the money is going. Toyota has entered a definitive agreement with Canada to move the facility to Windsor, Ontario. This isn't about finding cheap labor, as Canadian workers are well paid, nor is it about a larger market, as the U.S. market is 10 times bigger. This is a company choosing sanity over chaos. One of America's oldest allies looked at the erratic nature of Washington and decided they couldn't build a future there. While the U.S. president was on stage threatening 200% tariffs, Mark Carney was in the back room offering a handshake and a spreadsheet. Today, the spreadsheet won. This is the Trump discount in action. For months, Carney's team was quietly meeting with industrial giants, not making headlines, but making promises of stability and the rule of law. Toyota is just the first domino. If you have a 401k or a job in manufacturing, the ground under your feet just moved. This wasn't about tax credits or green energy. It was a political calculation and a vote of no confidence in the American leadership. The first piece of evidence for this shift is a leaked risk assessment from a major Japanese bank. The report explicitly flags the United States as a high-risk jurisdiction for long-term capital. For the first time, the bedrock of global capitalism is seen as unstable because of the tariff man. The bank warned Toyota that building in Alabama meant their factory could be held hostage by sudden policy changes or threats to tear up trade deals. In Canada, they have access to the U.S. market through existing deals, but are physically safe from erratic executive orders. They are building in Canada specifically to protect themselves from the President of the United States. Furthermore, site preparation in Alabama had already stopped days ago. While the local mayor couldn't even get a meeting with the White House, the administration was too busy fighting Twitter wars with the European Union to notice their biggest win was leaving. The empty field in Huntsville is now a monument to the fact that capital is a coward, money flees from noise, and Washington is currently full of it. While the U.S. held rallies, Mark Carney was having quiet dinners in Tokyo and video calls with Japanese bankers. He showed them a map of Ontario, pointing out the lithium supply chains and the port access. He wasn't selling Canada as a superpower. He was selling it as the adult in the room. To seal the deal, Carney gave Toyota a sovereignty shield, promising that if the U.S. tries to slap illegal tariffs on these Canadian-made cars, the Canadian government will cover the costs until the courts fix it. He put the Canadian Treasury on the line to steal this deal, and the market loved it. Toyota's stock went up, while U.S. automakers like Ford and GM saw their values drop because they are still stuck in the chaos zone. This happened because the theory of ruling by fear has failed. The U.S. assumed no one could afford to leave its market, but they forgot that you don't have to be in the U.S. to sell to the U.S. Canada is right across the river, and Carney has turned it into a duty-free shop for the global economy. The White House is reportedly in a state of fury, threatening to ban Toyota from selling cars in America, but they are trapped. If they ban Toyota, they destroy dealerships in Florida and Texas and raise the price of used cars for American voters by 30% overnight. They can scream and tweet, but they cannot stop a private company from deciding that American leadership is too risky. This is the failure of the bully strategy. When you bully your allies, they don't just take it, they organize. Carney is playing a different game. While the U.S. is obsessed with today's ratings, Carney is looking at where supply chains will be in 10 years. He knows the world is moving toward electric power and minerals, and he is offering the predictability that CEOs need to sleep at night. He stands at the podium, speaks in complete sentences, and talks about frameworks. It isn't exciting TV, but it is exactly what billions of dollars of investment want to hear. Carney's strategy is a masterclass in modern statecraft. Most leaders fold under U.S. pressure, but Carney built a fortress instead. He realized Canada can't compete on size or military power, so he competes on competence. The pitch was simple. Canada is America without the drama. They speak the same language and drive on the same side of the road, but they don't have a president who threatens to seize assets. Carney waited until the ink was dry and the money was in the bank before announcing anything, signaling to every CEO at Apple, Samsung, and BMW that he is a serious operator. This is going to trigger a stampede. In boardrooms across the world, executives are now asking why they should risk a tantrum in the U.S. when they can go to Ontario. Carney has effectively annexed the industrial capacity of the American Midwest without firing a shot. He did it with a handshake and a promise of reliability. For the average worker in Ohio, Michigan, or Alabama, this is a disaster. When an auto plant moves, the glass makers, seat manufacturers, and electronics suppliers move with it. Windsor and Toronto are becoming the new hubs for the next generation of manufacturing, while jobs in the U.S. start to dry up. Even worse, if the U.S. puts a tariff on these Canadian cars out of spite, the American consumer is the one who will pay the $8,000 price increase. Carney knows the U.S. can't afford that kind of inflation in swing states, so he is essentially holding the American wallet hostage. This marks the end of American business exceptionalism. For 70 years, the rule was that you had to be in America to be big. Toyota just proved you can bypass the U.S. entirely. If this continues, the U.S. becomes an island of high prices and rusting factories, while the rest of the world builds a network around it. The real threat to national security isn't at the borders. It is the loss of economic relevance caused by the person in the Oval Office. Right now, a photo is circulating of a worker in Huntsville taking down the American flag at the empty site where 4,000 jobs were supposed to be. Meanwhile, 1,000 miles north in Windsor, the lights are on and the champagne is being poured as the Japanese and Canadian delegations shake hands. This isn't just a business deal, it is a transfer of power. Looking forward, there are three ways this plays out. The first is a Trump tantrum, where the U.S. shuts the border and starts an economic war that crashes the stock market. The second is a quiet beg, where the U.S. tries to bribe Toyota back, but it will be too late because the contracts are signed and Japanese culture values honor. The third is that the floodgates open and other companies like Honda or Siemens follow Toyota's lead into Canada. My money is on the tantrum. The administration cannot handle humiliation, and they have never been humiliated like this. They will try to hurt Canada, but Carney is ready with his war chest and his allies. This is a massive wake-up call for America. We were told that America first meant we would win, but Japan and Canada just proved that they can build the future without us. Mark Carney didn't just steal a factory, he stole the narrative. He proved that you can say no to a bully and thrive. The factory in Alabama is empty, the jobs are gone, and the money is in Ontario. The only thing left in Washington is the noise of a leader who thinks he's winning while the world moves on. You need to pay attention to what happens next, because if the border is shut down tomorrow in retaliation, the global economy will change forever. This is the new reality. Stay awake, because history is shifting right now, and the consequences will be felt in every American household for a generation. The era of assuming the world needs America more than America needs the world is officially over. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. And make sure you subscribe and hit that bell.